Episode 14 of the Sativas on Sunday. No, it's 15. It is 15.
Yep.
Fuck.
I like odd numbers.
And that's
better.
how
I'm
we
so
started.
happy that it's 15, and I'm right.
And that's how we
that's
started, baby.
amazing.
Let's go.
We're going to start that way. Don't
Which
even.
camera can I look at?
All of them.
Okay,
Look
yeah.
at all of them.
all two of them.
All two.
Look at all the cameras. There's two of them.
All of them.
Episode
This one,
15.
I get my own camera. Oh shit!
Hey, we started off with a bang, bro.
Boom. We're back.
Yeah.
We're always back.
Yep, I'm Dub.
Smoking Groove.
It's your boy Hayes.
And we got a special guest. He's not even a special guest anymore. He's
No,
more like
it's
family.
like-
He's a podcast alumni. We got Darth Vader himself.
Yeah.
The Darth Vader of marijuana.
I'm so fucked up right now. Oh fuck. Look, I'm not your fucking
But we have Josh Mitchem, owner, CEO of Clovr
Welcome.
Cannabis.
Yeah, it's good to be back, guys.
Thanks for coming. We've
You know.
upgraded since you came. Last time we didn't have any video.
I know, right? And
Now that-
as I told you, I got a face built for radio though, so it's kind of a problem. Like,
Oh, you got the beard lined up. I see you got a little
I
lined
feel
up.
like you
I know.
He got a little crispy. He came crispy.
You came.
it's natural. It's where it stops growing. Like, it doesn't, I can't get the werewolf going. I tried, but
Right.
it didn't work.
Hey, what's today's date?
8th. Today's legalization day.
Boom, that's why we here, goddammit.
Officially,
That's why we here.
That's why we here.
it's History Day.
It is so like right now, literally, I could just have an ounce and a cop come up and I could be like, can I do that?
I can't do that.
Listen,
I can't get away
I
with
mean,
it.
can I do that? You know what I mean?
here's the deal. So you can do whatever you want. It's on you, bro. And I got your back. I suppose.
But I mean, what's the cop gonna really do?
well, but so
he can't give me in trouble for the weed, but maybe like in.
I can put like 10 on your books.
Still could actually. So because, so what they did was they increased your limits. So you can now buy 6 ounces. That happened.
That shit was crazy because we were all at work and people were like, yo, have you seen Reddit?
Ding ding ding.
Yep.
ding,
We
ding,
called the
ding.
dispensary. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you got 6 ounces. I was
6
like,
ounces.
Oh, there's also
Yeah.
Then
cards.
also all the home grows can now their plant count's doubled. So while that part took effect, the reality is this: if you got busted with an ounce from the cop, technically you still can't buy adult use cannabis
but I
until the
have to have it.
DHS authorizes dispensaries to
Yeah.
sell adult use cannabis.
But
So
I can
it's-
have it.
You can have it, but you may have to answer questions about where you got it. because
Oh well,
again,
luckily I
technically
got a
you
medical
can't.
card.
So wait, so
I
as
still-
as a medical patient, we're
Yeah,
protected.
You're still
I was
fine,
gonna
right?
say,
And
like,
that's
as
why
medical, we should be
you
good.
should have got your medical card.
you still can.
Shame on you,
Call
Frank.
Bluebird.
Shame on you, Frank. It's okay, Frank. I still love you, Frank. It's okay.
It's okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, this is a historic day.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe. I mean, I can believe it.
I can't.
You can't.
I mean, it's still always, no matter what state
I know, but I figured
goes
Missouri
regular, it's
would
always
could do
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured there'd be a couple more states that would do it before, like, the Midwest made it a
But that
thing.
Yeah.
race, though,
I didn't
was a
think
little
we was
freaked out
gonna
for
do
a
it.
minute during that, like, camp,
Yeah.
during
Yeah, so
watching
wait,
it
wait.
live.
So there were 5 states, that were on the ballot.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I want to go back to that time. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
And-
what were you doing? during
Yeah,
that?
4
Party,
weeks
huh?
ago.
That night?
Yeah. Walk us through
kidding me,
it.
dude?
Walk us through it. Walk us through it.
That night, he's
So
nervous.
we had a watch party at the Greek restaurant, right?
I heard.
And,
That's why I'm asking.
And so I'm hanging out with John Mueller from Greenlight. And I started calling him Quasimodo. So because he's like this the whole time, he's got his phone and he's like, and I go, bro, there's like a party going on.
He's
man."
just watching.
There's stuff-
I
said-
watched it all night.
I said, and he goes, you know how many months and dollars? I said, yeah, but it's over. We did what we could do. It's either going to pass or it's not going to pass. And he had this spreadsheet that he was going over from the medical where it had each county and how it passed. And he's like, no, these numbers aren't coming out right. I go, dude, I think you did your math wrong. And he's like, no, I'm telling you right now, like we're gonna get 47%. I said, dude, I can glance your numbers and know you did the math wrong. You're trying to take what happened in medical and back out. I get that, but your math is wrong. Like I need to get you an abacus or something because you figure, like,
Not an
slide it
abacus.
over, add the tens. So he ends up like leaving the party, and I'm just making the rounds, and I was making announcements as things were happening, and there was a bunch of press there. So I'm like, shit, I can't drink. Like I gotta like have my wits about me because they're gonna ask me questions.
If it were
Everybody
me,
else-
that's why on me, I got
I got
fucked up.
my
dude.
PR
That was a
gal.
problem.
We have a PR gal, and she was supposed to be there, and she didn't show up. So then I'm like, damn, I really got to like be on my best behavior now, right?
No censor.
So just as I find out that we've hit it, so we had Jack Cardetti there, he runs the PR for the trade association, but he was also the campaign chair. So and he's the one that makes the calls. Like when they call and say, "Hey, is this race done?" can we call it? He was the guy. So he's standing there, and I said,
an
hey,
important man,
and
dude.
he was doing an interview, and I said, Jack, can we call it? Well, just then the owner, again, these cameras are all on. The owner of Tasso's walks by, and he goes, you guys made it nothing to worry about. And I said, Calaris, that's why you're not in politics. That and all the cocaine and hooker addictions. As the cameras, all the channel. I lost it for a second there, right? And then Jack comes over, he goes, we can call it. And of course, then the place goes crazy. But John was going to kill me. He's like, dude, you said that on.
That's amazing.
You said that on the news. I'm like,
amazing.
That is the greatest glaze over in history. That's the greatest glaze over in history.
And I hadn't even drank. I stayed sober just to make sure that I didn't have that moment. And then, of course, the excitement got to me, and then I had the moment. But the next day, I felt so hungover. I didn't have a single drink or anything that night before, but I've been doing this for so long. I'm like the emotional exhaustion hit.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you sleep? Like, did you get any sleep?
You didn't, dude.
That night?
Yeah.
That night? Oh, I didn't. No, so Jack
fuck
Cardetti
no.
ends up coming over because he lives in Columbia. He crashed at my house, and we cracked open. I had a couple of drinks there with him and smoked a cigar.
Drank. I mean,
but
honestly,
I had like 2 drinks, but then I got in bed because he drank a couple of drinks, was like 2 bottles of wine for him.
Took it
So he gets in bed, and I'm laying in bed like this.
Can't do it.
He did it. It's
You
done.
did it.
It's
No,
like,
it was
you know,
hard,
I mean,
man.
this has been literally 4 years in the making, right? Because we had the one that failed during COVID.
I was just gonna ask. I was gonna ask for you to reflect, like from where it started to where you got now, as far as the hours and all the legislation and going back and forth, and kind of speaking to that and how you felt in that moment once you kind of collected your thoughts.
Sure. Well, literally all I've done for the last 2 years specifically had been trying to legalize adult use. So I was asked to help write the language for the first one during COVID. National Drug Alliance was doing it. They were a big funder. We gave a bunch of money to it. And COVID hits. We were 30,000 signatures short with 5 weeks to go. And we would have made the ballot, right? But then COVID hits, shuts the world down. The only way to get, no one's at Walmart to get signatures for. So immediately, May 8th hits. That was the deadline. I get a hold of Jack Cardetti and John Payne, who they were overseeing the different campaign. And I said, hey, man, let's start immediately. So immediately after the 2020 election, we started this process, rewriting the language, inviting Missouri groups in. That way it was more from Missourians, by Missourians, going through that process. And then it was all fundraising and going back and forth with the Secretary of State. So it was a lot of effort, but that's literally, I mean, you guys know, you didn't see me at Clovr there very often. I was there a day a week because I'm traveling the state. I'm in Jeff City all the time dealing with those ball washing politicians. And
Not ball washing.
they don't wash their balls? I haven't gotten that close, you know?
No, I have no idea.
I stay at work.
You
I don't go
you
to
brought
Jeff
it
City.
up.
I just assumed they were. I mean, you know, but
I would just stay away from all those types of people.
you know, most of them. Yeah, listen. In fairness, most of them are really great. They're actually great to work with. But the world of politics is just.
We need it.
Yeah.
It's
No.
politics.
It's a spider
need
web,
it.
but it's a necessary evil in a
It
lot of
is.
ways.
It
But
is.
yeah, so once we knew we made it on, and then once we, then it was just like, okay, press the vote. Yeah. And you know, the biggest struggle with this was that we lost a lot of the cannabis family through this process, right? Because we had 66% approval with medical, but there were so many of the activists, like in the normal chapters,
Oh
and
my
things,
goodness.
that they support cannabis, but they didn't like the amendment.
Right.
And that was really tough because during the medical one, it was like kumbaya, we were all together, whatever it took, let's do it. And all of a sudden, the people that had looked at us like heroes before, all of a sudden, like, you're a pariah, you only care about making dollars.
Because they don't understand that that's how business is.
Well,
Like, there's a whole business aspect to it. It has to be. 'Cause
Yeah.
it is an industry.
Billionaire moment.
Like, at the end of the
problem
day.
the problem is with a ballot initiative, it's more than that because we were putting something in front of voters individually that voters had to get behind, and not all voters are behind business. But like when you put things in like automatic expungement for literally everyone, regardless of how many pounds of marijuana they were caught with, if our opponent said, "Hey, we're going to expunge records for someone that had 400 pounds," voters would say no. So when you do a ballot initiative, you're writing something that voters have to pass.
You got to find the sweet spot.
You do. So you can't, and you know, the thing about any negotiation, if both parties if they walk away upset, it means that you wrote good language.
Right.
Because not everybody got what they wanted. We didn't get everything we wanted from the licensee side, and the activists didn't get everything they wanted. But you know what we got? We got something that voters got behind, and they felt like they could pass.
Yeah.
When it vibrates, it's ready.
You know, my brain's just trying to go that way.
So
Didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't offer it to him.
to kind of
Frank, you want to hit
Let
the
Frank-
vibrator,
let
Frank?
Frank rip that. He didn't get to
Cameraman
rip
Frank,
it.
you need the, yeah, I get the vibrator.
Frank
in there.
didn't get to rip it.
so now that Okay, so now let's kind of
Fast forward.
Yeah, let's timeline this. So right now we're in the process of what can be done, or what has DHSS said as far as looking at February 7th, or where are we at in that timeline as far as getting dispensaries and stuff open and things get going?
So I've had multiple meetings with the department, both directly and over the telephone. You know, they dropped the first set of regs literally days after the election,
saw
just
them.
a couple of days after.
Right.
And so they've said, we know that the Constitution outlines a February 7th deadline to have these things converted. Today was also the day that licensees turned in their paperwork for conversion, and they said we're not going to convert until everybody's ready.
So how does that process work? If you can go into kind of not super detailed, but just kind of outline what has to be done.
Yeah, so you have to go into the state's software. It's MyComplia. You fill out your stuff. You send in your fee. As soon as they have the regs completed, they'll start the conversion process, and their goal is to convert everybody kind of at the same time. They're not going to piecemeal. They don't get this. That's not a fair way of doing it. If you've got your paperwork in, we're going to get you.
So this way, if you're not ready, it's on your own accord.
Right. Yeah. If you don't get your paperwork in now, if you drag your feet and you don't turn it into the very last minute, you may get delayed just because they're going to, I think, like what they've done in the past was they tackle things as they come in on that day.
Right.
So they dropped the regs. They had a 14-day comment period. That's over with. They were supposed to drop another set of regs today. It didn't happen. I imagine we'll see it tomorrow. They're usually pretty good about when they say we're going to drop these. It happens in 24 hours.
Right.
Then they'll have to make the final ones. But they are certainly working at a pace that would lead me to believe that they will meet or possibly beat the February 7th deadline.
So
Okay.
So it'll be like in
pretty
Arizona when randomly there's like, all right, it's open. Like that happened in Arizona.
That's about how
that
it
literally
happened.
in
Like,
Arizona
the
they
regs are
set a
done.
day, and then like a month early they were
Right.
just like, all right, it's open, you can do it.
Yeah.
And people just fucking bum rush.
so
the
I'm
Constitution
sure.
says they have
It was
to-
wild,
Right.
dude.
So the Constitution says they have to allow legalized sales by February 7th. If you've already submitted your conversion paperwork to them, if after February 7th they haven't approved you, you're automatically approved within 30 days. So at the very latest, you're looking at March 7th, where it's an automatic approval if the state hasn't already given you your stamp. But I
Right.
don't think that'll be an issue. I think the state
So,
will hit the number.
I've heard
Okay.
and read that by county they have to go back through and get zoning approved for recreational. They got it. They did for medicinal, but they haven't started approving zoning for recreational yet. So if you have to submit something to that county, say like Jackson County, how fast? That's something that also could delay that process if the county doesn't zone it for recreational.
And it's different county by county based on how they wrote the original their original zoning law. So just Jackson County, for example. So like our manufacturing facility is zoned for a medical marijuana manufacturing facility.
Right.
They will have to go back and change the zoning for just a cannabis or marijuana manufacturing facility. Jackson County, most of the urban areas are great to work with. They're going to be pretty quick. The process initially was very long because they'd never done it before.
Right.
Now it's a matter of just changing it from a medical to adult use.
Just
I don't
add it.
see any delays there. Some counties or districts, they wrote it just for marijuana in general, and they don't have to make any changes. So it just depends really where you are.
So what about the dry counties that have 500 days? Say if it's a dry county, if you look at the election results, you can clearly see where it was wanted and where
That
it wasn't
heat map
wanted.
is amazing.
Right. Okay. So let me talk about that map first off.
Yeah,
So
that
a lot
heat
of,
map.
A lot of folks have looked at this map and they're like, "Oh my God, that county only had like 30% approval." Well, keep in mind, as I mentioned, we lost a lot of support. So the polling that we did all showed 60% approval. Okay, for adult use cannabis, but we passed at 53%. That difference, that 7%, those are the people that actually agreed with cannabis but disagreed with this specific amendment. So we had a lot of those people. So all those counties that may look like, oh, it's only 30% approval. Well, in reality, it's probably closer to 40% actual marijuana approval, but the difference was they just didn't care for the amendment. And that's where I said we got fractured there. Now, those counties have the authority to vote out the sale of adult use. However, it will have to happen on the next election cycle.
So
It
500
has to be-
days?
Well,
Roughly.
so 2024 election, that next November, the next presidential election, it has to be done via ballot initiative, and it requires a 60% vote. So there's very specific language they have to use.
So
and
some
60%
places
of
can't
the
get
people-
rid of it. Some counties.
the counties that had less than get it. You feel
Hold on, bro. Let
did it vibrate for you? So it was ready,
Dude,
right?
No, that thing fucking shout out to this contraption. We should just talk about it real quick. I don't even mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, you guys got to
This
do like
thing
a few
kicked my
product
fucking-
plugs.
I was gonna get to it. I was just we were kicking knowledge,
Agent,
but,
we might as well.
but this is the G Pen Connect.
Hey,
got
fuck
you.
that thing.
Yeah,
And fuck you for not telling me how to fucking hit it.
yeah, that's what happened to me.
I'm just like, it's just milking. What am I doing? Like,
Thank you. That's what happened to me. And he's making fun of me. He's like, "Well, did you see how big the hit was? That thing fucking crushes you, dude. That
hey,
thing's
man,
awesome."
I
Listen,
didn't.
in
I didn't go into a
fairness-
different language though, boy. You start
What
talking.
happened to you?
You
though?
start speaking
like
in
you
tongues.
literally watched the way that Max hit it, and then you go and hit it. I'm like, oh my god, what's he gonna do with all that smoke?
Well, I
that's
didn't.
going
I didn't know
everywhere?
you had to pull it out. I thought you pressed the button and it just cleared.
But no, this is the G
But
Pen
he
Connect.
fucking
and
no, that got
This
me.
thing bangs. It's a couple $100. It gets the job done. And the beautiful thing is you can add it to any rig, so it does your concentrates, 3 temperature setting. You know, shout them out.
Shout out G-Pen. That's pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
And in another time period, if Darth Vader were to be interrupted by coffee like that, he would have just like squeezed the larynx and been like that.
I've never,
Yeah.
You disappoint me.
never seen those.
No.
numbers.
You don't know I'm force sensitive though, so.
Force sensitive.
But no, we were talking about what as far as the counties repealing if they had the when that took effect.
Yeah,
and-
so again, it's going to take a 60% ballot initiative vote in those counties to deny the sale. Now, they can't kick out growers, they can't kick out manufacturers, they can't kick out medical dispensaries, but they can say you can't sell adult use cannabis. But there was only maybe 6 or 8 counties in the whole state that showed less than 40% approval.
Right.
Right? Especially when you add back in the numbers of people that voted against Amendment 3, but not necessarily against recreational cannabis, right? So there's a lot of things. And I think that most counties will probably adopt the 3% sales tax they can add on. That's why we put that in there.
Right.
So that way, we had to get in the option of
So it
voting
ends
out,
up making
but
if they add that, it ends up making it how much sales tax when you buy it?
9%.
which is still 6.
Because they
plus
have
the
their
tax.
normal sales tax on there.
Yeah, so 19-ish.
Depending on the county.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
but I mean Jackson County will probably still be.
What's the sales tax Jackson County? 8.25?
I think something like that.
16-ish.
So it's going to be they're going to add on it'll be 17.25.
Shit.
That's not big.
I mean, LA is like 19,
That's what I'm
20%.
saying,
So
compared.
Well, hell, Colorado. I mean, so it's a 15% cannabis tax on top of a 10% sales tax. It's still the lowest sales
yeah.
tax in the country by at
No,
least 10%.
yeah, I'm not mad
Yeah.
at it at all. I was
You
just
know?
curious. I was just
so
And the great thing was a lot of folks were like, "Oh, let the legislature do it." Well, if we done it in the legislature instead of the ballot initiative, every time they needed to raise more money, guess where it would have been? More cannabis tax, more cannabis tax, more cannabis tax. Now that 6%'s locked in forever.
for life.
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So what do you see the future in as far as recreational cannabis in Missouri moving forward? Like what do you see as far as like from like production standard or production quantities and like dispensaries and because everybody's like I know they have the micro licenses and the micro cultivation, they have those licenses and then they're gonna add 6 dispensaries per congressional district. They can't add any more than 6 or
So they're not adding any more macro licenses like what we have in place now. There will be an additional 48 micro licenses that are issued year one.
right.
That's 6 per congressional district. There'll be 2 dispensaries and there'll be 4 combo licenses. So in the micro license, you can grow and manufacture under 1 license versus having to have 2. But those micros have to operate inside the micro world, which I didn't agree with. That was something the activists pushed for. What I originally said was let all 3 of let the micros be fully vertical. And if you want to, you can make them all dispensaries, grows, and manufacturers if you want to, and that way you control your own destiny. That got voted down. So what we've got now, we've got the 48 that'll open, 6 per congressional district. And then after 2 years, if those are all open in good standing, they'll issue another 48. After 2 years, another 48. So what we're going to see in Missouri, so Missouri's a massive gun state. And I think a lot of folks aren't taking that in consideration when they figure what the growth is going to be. I mean, I've literally talked to thousands of people.
Oh, I've heard the same thing from a couple different people.
Right. And the number one question I got 70% of the time is, am I going to lose my guns?
Yep.
Am I going to lose or can I not buy more guns? So now that, and they didn't put their name on a medical registry list, which is why our medical market didn't flourish.
Right.
That's why a lot of medical markets don't flourish. Even in states that aren't heavy gun states, people that have guns and they're in every single state and every single city, they're like, whoa, I'm not putting my name on a list the government has because most people that have guns also don't trust the government.
Right.
So we'll see a huge influx. Also with Arkansas not passing. We'll have a lot of folks from Arkansas. I believe that Missouri will become a larger tourist state like Colorado did, right? So we're literally surrounded on the only two states that have it that touch us are Illinois, and they've got a ridiculous tax rate. It's
Right.
25%.
It costs more than the
Plus
shit.
whatever.
That
yeah.
shit
plus
is
whatever
so
sales
gross
tax
up
is,
there.
and in Oklahoma, right? And Oklahoma didn't pass their
St.
recreational,
Louis
Which is
finally gonna
which is
sell-
kind of weird.
St. Louis
Yeah.
is finally going to sell some
I
weed.
don't. Yeah,
I didn't know
don't
Oklahoma
understand.
didn't pass there.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward. Like it was there.
It had to have been because everybody loves just making money on the medical market right now, especially when it's now that they capped it on metric.
But
Now that
nobody's
it's
making
me-
money in Oklahoma.
Now that it's metric, people are making some money.
Well, you still have to wipe out a bunch of licenses. You can't have
They already-
1,600 licenses.
No,
and
there's
still
not
make money.
anymore. It's down. It's like over half that now because the metric wiped them out.
Right, but so it's half of that, and Oklahoma's like half the size of Missouri.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
true.
like
I mean, it's still tough.
I mean,
they'll
think-
get there. They're well. Listen, putting guardrails in is important in any sort of industry, and I hate the way that cannabis is overregulated. Right? I mean, at this point, and it's because of stigma. Whatever you say with the government, they did a hell of a job with reefer madness in the 1930s and made
Right.
And it's not that they made people afraid of it, but they made all the bureaucracies that control it terrified of it. So they're treating
Yeah.
it. They don't treat it like a medicine. They don't treat it like a they're treating it like a pariah still.
Right.
So regulation is still important, but if you had none, I mean, there was just, I mean, who knows what people were smoking or getting in their products in Oklahoma, right? So,
Yeah.
and listen, I've made the argument to like the department before, they have all these heavy metal testings. I said, listen, I understand you have to have some regs, but people have literally been smoking heavy metals in their weed since people have been growing it.
Right.
Nobody asked the cartels what they were putting inside them, right? I mean,
It was working.
When
That's true.
we
It was
buying weed
working.
from our cousins or our uncles or whoever. We weren't asking like, does this shit have mold in it?
But the funny
Right.
I
thing,
guarantee we smoked some mold.
yeah, but I would rather not have it.
but you know what the funny thing
Sure.
is?
I would agree, but at the same time, they've gone way overboard. So like we have to test
Oh, I
for
already
6 different pesticides that are actually illegal to have in the United States of America.
I
Yet
already-
we're still
yeah.
forced to test for them.
Dude,
They're
one
not even
time-
allowed inside our borders.
I'm telling you right now, the way the testing is a wild game out here.
I mean,
Like it's like we literally will send the same sample to 2 separate companies and get the most wonky different results back.
Yeah.
I
And
think
it's just like, how is this like
No.
then none of these tests are real then?
no, everybody's going through that struggle
And like, I'm
because
serious, I'm 100%
no,
serious. like,
everybody's dealing
Yeah.
with it because we've had stuff that we've sent in,
the
whether it
same-
be edible or everything, and it would be we have an in-house testing facility where we can kind of pre-test and gauge,
same.
and that shit it's day and night numbers,
It's wild, dude.
and that testing's not cheap. So you think about if you're the only company in the
What is
state
there, like
that does
5
test-
of them? 4?
Well,
how many testing
there's
companies are
supposed
there?
to be 10 licenses, but right now there's only 4 that are actually open.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
One of
Right.
them's already filed
Those 4
bankruptcy,
people are out here
so-
being foul as
here's
fuck.
I could go into why those things are so wild, but that might take like a separate podcast. But the biggest thing is this.
graze over the top of it just a little bit. Just
Yeah,
a
like,
little-
why is that
yeah.
a thing?
Okay,
Like,
so
why-
here's why. So the machines are very sensitive, right?
Right.
And so the machines have these things called columns inside of there, and you're supposed to get like 2,000 runs per column or something before you're supposed to replace the columns. They just wear out, they pit, whatever the case is.
Right.
Well, because they use those same columns to test 50 companies' things, what they found, and I talked to Tony David, who's the CEO of GPA Labs here in Kansas City, and he goes, we've found now we're going to start replacing our columns at 600 runs, between 600 and 800 runs instead of 2,000 runs, as the manufacturer suggested.
because it's contaminating stuff if you
That's what's
overrun.
happening.
I was
Or
gonna say,
they're wearing out faster as well because of all the
The
different types that go
multitude
into it.
difference.
It would be one
Okay.
thing if that column, let's say it only tested our concentrates that came from the exact same process, exact same machines, they would probably be fine through 2,000 runs. But they're testing ours, yours, illicits, everybody else's in the same machines, and
and
everybody
it
has
does it differently. Everybody does their process differently.
Right, so where's those columns at? But that's why.
That makes
But how
sense.
much do those
It's
columns
just such
cost?
a wild thing. I'm just like,
I
dude,
don't know.
why are we even
No.
testing it then? You know
That's
what I mean?
fuck- yeah,
One
'cause
came
that's
back at
fucked up that they
16,
just
one's
come
at
back with
94.
different
Well,
numbers
keep in
on
mind,
different
but
places
keep in
like
mind,
that.
Yeah.
While it is frustrating to get the wild variances in THC content, the reality is we don't get wild variances in molds, mildews.
That's
we
true.
Don't get
That's true. We don't
Right.
really ever pop for random shit. It's just
Right. It's
our
just-
THC
it's THC
content's all over the
content,
place.
right?
And I'm like,
And-
dude, but that matters, which is stupid.
It
But it
does.
totally matters. So
does.
if you get something back from COA and it's a
Right.
low THC, you're like, well, fuck.
Right.
This will be a rough
But the
month here,
reason the
boys.
DHS, right. So the
know what I
reason
mean?
the DHS hasn't stepped in and done more about it is because they really only care about are there dangerous things that are going to hurt people in here, not about THC content. We care about THC content because customers do.
Yeah.
So
just don't care about
speaking of DHSS,
Oh boy,
Here we go.
Here we go. Pay attention, Frank.
one word: packaging.
Ooh.
I asked
no,
him
I heard this is
asked
a
him, I
very
had to get off my chest.
Packaging.
This
bro. These packaging rules are wild now.
Nuts.
our company is done.
I mean, so did they kind of take their
No
guidelines?
more the timeless Skinners, bro. No.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you're referring to the new reg that came
Well,
out for
that-
adult use, right? Because
They kind of mirrored their regs, kind of what New Jersey's doing.
yeah, they picked New Jersey. So first off, let's
Why
go through
would-
the
why-
process of how these regs were written. So you've got the Department of Health and Senior Services, which in whole is in charge of like nursing homes and hospitals and
Yeah,
things
not
like
weed.
that, right? Not weed. Now they put the division of cannabis underneath it, but
There's
the reg writing is shared by the overall DHSS, and their main concern is patient safety, children's safety. So in their minds, they're trying to create packaging that won't be enticing to kids in any single way, right? So like the new reg that you're referring to is packaging will now have to have a 1 inch by 1 inch square label or logo, and then it can only be in one color. That's and we've had to add some warning
but
labels.
what if you did? Okay, this is a quick question. What if we had like 3 different flavors or 3 different like moods, and you had like red, blue, and green?
So you can do them in different colors.
But it's
However,
one color.
However, the other piece of that language says that you can't add effects to it. So when you say you have 3 different moods, that whole rest, sleep,
Energy, chill. Yeah.
focus. Right
They
now,
just have to be
right
words
now,
on
as it
it now?
sits, and again, they were only draft rules. It's only been the first revision.
Gosh,
right
I
now.
hope.
So, but you could do different colors. So if you
Yeah.
have like indica sativa hybrid strains, you want to do different colors. That's fine. But the point that I've made several times is this: it doesn't matter what package I put it in. I'll put it in a straight black package. If the patient takes it home and leaves the bottle open on the table, a kid's going to get it.
They're trying.
Right?
Yeah.
We put a red diamond to warn people. We put it in child-proof packaging. So we've gone back and forth because I've made the argument at some point the responsibility to protect kids is on the patient, not on us.
So why is it that they feel like they have to put all the weight, the burden of that on us as a cannabis company or manufacturer, when it's like, these parents have to watch their kids. Right. They have to be responsible. If you're getting cannabis, you got to have a certain level of responsibility to keep it away from your children. And no matter what that package looks like, it's still one of those things that it shouldn't be accessible to kids. You should just put the shit up.
So in fairness to the department, and I know it's frustrating, and this is also part of any sort of emerging industry where you have a brand new bureaucracy in charge of it, there's going to be a lot of tightening and loosening of regs that happens over time, right? Now, if ATF had been in charge of us, ATF would have looked at like alcohol, and they would have governed it like alcohol because that's what they're accustomed to. The DHS is accustomed to patient and child care, so they're governing it with the guise of patient and child care, and we're going to make whoever's underneath our
it had to go on that first because
as responsible for that as they can.
Right.
Alcohol wouldn't have done that. Alcohol may not have even required, who knows, ATF may not even require like childproof packaging because beer doesn't have childproof packaging.
Or testing.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, there would have been some standards because other states do it. But this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a tightening and a loosening, right? We saw tightening, for example, the promo rule was a big one, right? Remember when they said you can't run promos, nobody could do sales? They tightened that down. We made the comp.
But you could,
But then we all made
just did
comments,
it.
and they just said, "Okay, we're not gonna enforce it."
Yeah.
Well, that was the loosening.
Right.
The tightening was no promos. They got enough feedback. The loosening was, okay, we missed it. We were wrong. The rule actually still stands.
Oh, really?
They're just not enforcing it. They never actually took.
I was like, we do hella promos, bro.
We all do. Everybody does. But that's because they got enough feedback that, okay, you really can't. It's one thing to tighten up the rules for protection, but it's something else to tighten it to the point where you can't operate. And so that's why I said if we had been underneath a different bureaucracy, it would have been different. So in fairness to them, they're doing what that department is accustomed to doing.
Right.
They just got to learn from it. But it means at the same time, we've got to pay the price for this.
Are they getting a new leader, huh?
Yeah, they're getting new directors. So
did you apply for it?
Lyndall is no, I did not apply for it. No.
Why not?
Why not? Take
Come
that
on.
role, you know what I
It's
mean?
like the
That'd be a
same
good
like
one.
people ask me if I run for office. Like, do you know how many skeletons are in this closet? Like, I don't think it works.
Yeah, but is
No,
that
the other thing is because I have such a big influence in the cannabis space, they wouldn't have hired me anyway. Just because they know that
they don't want to tempt you.
Well, they know my loyalties lie, but I'll tell you. So the CEO of Vertical, Chris McHugh, he applied. He interviewed for the position. So there are some licensees that are interviewing. to
Which would
to take
be
that role.
tremendous for licensees.
So wait, could
Yeah.
I apply? I think I'm more knowledgeable than most people. You know.
Yes.
Go for it, bro. I
Yeah,
got
right.
you,
Saying,
man.
why not, you know?
Hey, put me down
Hey,
as a
listen,
reference.
remember, bro, the answer's always no if you don't ask.
I don't know what you're
Right.
Put
talking
me down
about.
as a reference,
What are you
bro.
talking about?
Nothing venture, nothing gain. Like there's all
Dub
kinds of different
reference.
cliches we could drop.
Nothing
on that.
beats a
Especially,
failure.
I would
hey,
Nothing beats a failure but a
support you.
try.
I'll put the illest team together and we'll do this shit right.
Pedro for president.
Throw me on that shit.
I don't really want to be on that. I don't want to enforce rules.
Why
dude.
not?
Good.
Well, you
Hey,
know, as a director,
Groove, throw me on that
you
shit.
had people to actually enforce them. For
Yeah, but
you.
I don't want to be the guy that has to tell people.
No, but imagine the guy being in New York that's going through and testing all that wild shit. Have you,
Yeah,
have you
right?
seen
New
this?
York,
Oh,
the New York,
man.
the New York market's crazy. I
New
just
York is-
finally watched this thing about it recently.
It's wild, but it's now they started
heavy
testing some of the
metals.
product off these food trucks, testing for
Everything.
salmonella.
it's all there,
heavy
right?
metal.
Salmonella,
It's like
heavy
okay,
metals.
wait,
Duh.
but that's
E. coli.
Hold on, but that's what people wanted in Kansas City. They are in
No.
Missouri. They're like, yo, we want it just like New York, and I'm like, yo, there has to be parameters to this.
First off, I don't want anything like New York. They can keep it all, man. They can
Yeah.
have all of it. Yankees, Mets, all that. Keep it up.
Hey
there.
now, hey,
We don't need that. No, we don't need that. in Missouri. We got Midwest values here, man. Like we don't need that New
the
York.
Chiefs
crazy
are about
shit.
to move to Kansas City, Kansas, so.
Yeah, let's yeah, but but it's still Kansas City. Like I get it, it's Missouri, whatever, but it's still
Hey, those
Kansas City.
taxpayers are pissed.
I bet. Well, as they should be.
Hey, Wanda said 10 years tax free. Come on, let's go. Build a stadium where you want it at.
They got to. Well, here's the deal, man. Like they got to save some dollars. They got a big contract to pay with Patty Mahomes, so it's they got to.
It's okay.
Hey,
We got to pinch some pennies wherever we can here.
hey,
It's
follow
okay,
the yellow
'cause
brick
guess what's
road.
gonna
That's
go
all I'm gonna
up?
tell
The
them.
salary cap's going to continue to
That's it,
go
man.
up. We're
That's
going to
it.
be just fine.
So production wise, from production standpoint, I mean, are these facilities equipped to handle and
How
store?
fucked are we?
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
like
Well, here, Clovr isn't. Clovr, we built our facility prepared for adult use. I mean, if for those of you, and I know a lot of folks have been through, we've seen tours, right? We kept bringing,
Oh, yeah.
So we built everything to scale to handle a 5-time multiple. But there were a lot of folks that had to kind of bootstrap this process together, and they got the equipment they could afford at the time. They built the space they could afford at the time,
Right.
and it's going to be a scramble. Now, I know a lot of these groups are already preparing for it now. Just as we are at Clovr, we've ramped up our production to that. We've got a big enough backstock, so when the big surge does hit, we can do that. A lot of companies are doing the same thing. However, that can only go so far because they'll burn through the backstock faster than large groups will. Right?
oh yeah, there's crazy holidays coming up. There's a string of them.
Yeah.
There's like St. Patrick's Day, Big 12, 420,
Because the thing is,
Cinco de Mayo.
yeah, because I think it's going to
yeah,
take.
I
I think
guess
it's going to take.
that's
That's
like
not
one
even a
a
real
month.
holiday. That's not even a real holiday, but they're gonna celebrate it.
That's like one a month.
It's a real holiday
5
south of
months
us.
straight.
So, they. No, I lost my. I was just tell you something.
Frank's just like, nah, that's not.
Why you got to pick on the brown guy, man? That ain't right.
Nah, I say had to look. I
Damn,
didn't.
Frank.
I didn't even have to look. I just knew. I just saw him shaking his head. I didn't have to look.
This dude with the buzzard on his
I
head
did
over
hear
here
him
is
over there
brutal,
like,
bro.
nah.
Was that an Oriole? That's an eagle. That's an orange eagle. What is it?
It's the indestructible. Shout out
Is it-
indestructible.
A Thunderbird
It's an eagle doing some wild shit on LSD.
on fire. Yes,
What?
yes.
What now?
No, I can see that.
Who gave
Eagle
a- who
has
gave
been
an
He said,
equal
now I can
LSD?
see that.
You were talking about the holidays. So here's something else. So I think let's say February 7th's the date.
right. Oh, Valentine's Day would be lit.
It's gonna probably take 45 to 60 days if you look at what happens in other states
Right.
before it really catches on. And I think before it really catches wildfire, those folks with all the guns I mentioned, they're still going to be a little hesitant. It might take them a little bit longer.
More for
Yeah,
me,
but
baby.
as soon
More
as-
for me.
Yeah.
So
But
a
they're-
lot of these folks that say, "Oh my God, February 7th is going to hit and it's going to be lines out the door." That's no joke. I mean, there was Fresh Karma. The day after the election, he showed up and he had a line of people out the door, and they were all from Kansas there to buy. All right, so that's the one thing that's really hard to. No, I'm like,
Oh,
he goes-
Kansas is about Johnson County about to be a problem.
Bro, that.
These Johnson County moms, oh, they done.
Soccer
They're-
moms
they're-
galore, dude.
Oh,
they
yeah.
love
Done.
Kansas.
Done.
You know,
Traffic is gonna move a lot slower.
people are like, "Why'd you make those Clovr chocolates in just a black and white pack?" I'm like, "Wait till the soccer moms hit. You'll see. You'll
there's a lot-
understand."
it's the
Right.
setup.
Soccer moms understand that black
Oh,
and white
yeah.
packaging.
I have a hack for the chocolate. Put it in your coffee or your hot chocolate.
Yeah, the peppermints.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh.
peppermint one in your hot.
You guys got a peppermint?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
peppermint,
you
yeah,
get the
peppermint.
bonbons though. They melt better.
I don't
The
really eat
bonbons-
edibles like that.
What?
You
I
should
should
try.
try some.
I'll bring you some. You
You
should
don't like
try
to turn
these.
edibles into drinkables?
No, because edibles fuck me up. Like bad. Like make me uncomfortable. I'll start sweating. Like it's a fucking
Duly
horrible time.
noted.
Is it kind of?
Yeah.
It's like family dinners for me.
No.
It's like
like
family dinners.
family
Me like,
dinner.
oh man.
Like, damn it, I gotta be around these
I gotta
guys.
be around all my siblings.
No
No.
treats.
No.
Any
Yeah,
treat
no
I give
treats.
you from now on.
It's gonna be better. I'm gonna be sitting over here.
I mean, you doing all right. You
I
took
got
that
some-
fat dab earlier.
I got some mushroom chocolates from when I was out in Las Vegas. I had to bring them in like
Baby,
this.
bring them.
Hey, these two are gonna be
it.
best friends. They've been best friends.
Yeah. No, so I've had a bunch of groups too approach me about doing psilocybin legalization. Like, hey, will you back an initial petition for psilocybin?
Let's get her
And I
done,
go,
baby.
You gotta slow down. You gotta
Yeah,
pump
I
your
said,
brakes.
well, I said,
No,
okay, let's think
get
about
her
this.
done. I'll push you. Let's
So
go, dude.
we only
we
passed-
barely
That's
passed.
what you need from me. I got about $200 and a big mouth.
Here's what I told him. I said, here's the deal.
That sounds like a proposition.
I was like, I had to think about that. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. So you're gonna pay me?
After I said that,
and you got the
after I
mouth?
said that, I was
That's how this is gonna work. Like,
That's not the way this
wrong,
works.
man.
that dab got me.
My little brother
After I
had a
said
game
that,
manager that loved me, and I never got that sort of. Yeah, my little brother worked at PF Chang's and had a game manager that loved me. I never got proposition. You're gonna give me 200 and you got the
God.
mouth. How many did you shave that
I
mustache?
was trying to
That's
like,
a
you
little
know,
too
like I'll
much.
say a lot, dude. Like I don't know. Fuck, dude.
So I know That's it.
Right?
Oh fuck.
Damn.
There's so many fucking memes coming out of this thing.
Oh fuck.
Shit, they gonna tear us up.
I'm telling
Oh
you.
fuck.
So, no, I told them all the same things.
I'm canceled.
It was like 5 different groups, and they approached me all
Hopefully they
separately.
didn't see my panic
I
face
said, if
from that
you
dab.
guys raise $11 million, I will help you get the ballot.
11 mil.
That's what it would
Let's
take.
get her done, baby.
That's what it would take to
Hey,
get
can we start a
psilocybin on. That's
GoFundMe?
what it would take to get it on the ballot and to get some persuasion. I don't know if that's enough to get it passed. We only passed adult use cannabis with 53%. We ain't,
How much money total was raised for that?
Boy, so we did.
If I can ask, I don't know.
No,
if
you
that's
can
it.
ask. Sure, it was around 9.5 million.
That's a good. Yeah.
9.5 million, I think.
It's a good amount.
Yeah.
It's a good amount.
This is all, damn, I'm trying to
But
think.
a psilocybin take 11, so you're telling me because it's such a stigma. It's way worse of a stigma.
Well, I think that it just has less.
It's not
now,
widely-
now, personally, I prefer mushrooms over cannabis, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
widely accepted like cannabis is starting to become.
Well, and it's not widely as used either, right? I mean, a lot of folks that have smoked cannabis, they've tried mushrooms, right?
I'll
But
do
not
it. I'll
everybody likes it. It is different. The psychedelic
Right.
process is a much different process to go through. And if you take too much, if your body doesn't throw it up, you're in for a hell of a ride.
and
right?
you love the ride, dude. The ride's the best part.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes
Hug
you
the
sit
earth.
sweating like it's family dinner again, which has
Yeah,
happened to me.
that-
I didn't
yeah.
enjoy it as much, and I'm telling my body like, why are you not pitched? Can you not
Especially when
tell?
they meet your
It's gotta
girlfriend for
go.
the first
Dude,
time.
you took one too many grams. It's time
One
to get
too
rid
many
of it.
grams. How many? What do you do it? Do you do a lot or no?
Uh,
Like an eighth, or you just always
no, I'll just
microdose?
Yeah, I'll microdose them.
So you like the gummies or like you do the chocolates?
Oh man, I just like this. Just put it in my cheek like chaw and just.
That's pretty awesome.
Suck
Oh, he raw dogging it.
So if psilocybin makes it so
yo.
far, do you think they'll have like skull style stuff for
Skull style.
Yeah, you know what I mean, where you can put it in like dips and
Gross.
They gonna put it in vape
psilocybin
pens.
Well, I mean, so Illicit's got they have cannabis dips. Like, why not? I mean, you
Hold
put
on,
it in-
Illicit has cannabis
whoa,
dips?
Whoa, they got canna dips.
You guys
I've never
haven't
seen
had.
that.
You didn't.
you've
I
seen
heard
them, right?
about them, but
Yeah, so they're.
Wait,
I'm surprised they still exist.
Yeah, so they're-
Wait.
I was like, this ain't going far.
yeah. So green light has got it's like a can of chew and it's got THC in it. And you put it
that
in
can't taste good.
I don't know. I didn't. Like I said, I don't
I mean,
really
why
use.
can't it taste good?
I don't use
No.
cannabis, bro. I've already
Groove is
established
disrespected.
it's only mushrooms and crystal meth. Like I don't touch any other
We got
stuff.
some-
Okay.
Oh,
Potheads.
Something that looks like crystal meth you could smoke.
hold on.
I saw that, dude. That was. I'm like, oh.
Shout out Midwest
I'm in my
Magic.
people. I didn't know you were such a hillbilly.
Bro, I try everything once.
mean, I won't try that
carrier,
once.
Chris. Sometimes twice.
If I like it, yeah. 3 times. Let's go.
Well,
If
if I
you
like
like
it, I
it.
just keep doing
Yeah,
it.
if
It's
you
no
like it,
longer
I don't
trying,
stop.
It's, literally
It's not a
just-
habit until you say you have a problem. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh my god.
So we've solidified that probably February 7th we're gonna be like out here.
So it could be a real thing. It's February 7th or before.
I
it's a
believe,
good
based on the,
possi-
I think they're actually shooting to be done closer to mid-January than February 7th. And maybe their goal is to have the regs finalized by January. That way, it's not like, hey, February 7th, and here's your regs and here's your approval, right? Because if they get the regs done 2 weeks beforehand, it gives us an opportunity to
get
prepare
ready.
for that.
The
And
early,
then all of a sudden they say, okay, you've all now had time to review the regs. Because we're going to have to submit change requests because, like, if they do change the packaging, they've made it clear they're going to let groups work through the packaging they have. But, you know, if you dump the regs and legalization on me all at once, it's going to create more work for them because I'm going to be like, wait a minute, I got 6 months of packaging I have to work through.
They're going back.
Whereas if they give me the regs and I say, okay, that is the final reg, I can start submitting my change request before they actually legalize the sale of it, and then it gives them more time. I mean, in my mind, that would save them a lot more work.
So
And that's all, you know, and listen, that's what I worry about. I don't worry about saving the DHS.
So in a perfect world, if they said, hey, December 31st, we have the regs approved, we'll still go with February 7th, it gives companies a month.
It gives them a month. But I think that if on December 31st they say, hey, these are the final regs and they're done, I think they're going to shoot to get things done sooner. You know, I know that they caught a lot of flack for the rollout of the medical. Right, because they had these dates, they missed the dates, the rollout wasn't done successfully. I think they're trying. I honestly believe they're trying to find a way to redeem themselves. Now, as you mentioned, there is going to be a new director, and that director's Lindell's last day, or Director Fraker's last day, is December 16th. So.
Oh wow!
Now if we have a new director,
what a time to leave. Why did they get pushed out? You think?
You know, it's like Brady should have retired after he won his last Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
it's like I mean, you know, before the next season starts.
You get this one, get out.
No, I'm not sure. Again, I consider Lindell a friend. We talk pretty regularly.
I don't even know if you know or not. I'm just curious. Like, I wonder if
I don't think. Yeah, he hasn't really shared why that is. But his role is going to stay. He's going to stay out as a liaison, which really was a big part of his role as director too. Is going to the stores, visiting with folks. He's going to be the go-between between the licensees and the department. So when we have issues, we express them to him. Hopefully, he's going to be on our side and work through that.
Since he's been there since the jump.
Right, but getting a new director. 6 weeks before we're supposed to legalize adult use,
it's a lot of paperwork.
I don't know what's going to happen there.
Right.
I know that currently the current
there's a lot in the air from that.
Yeah, there could be, and the new director may come in and say, "Hold on a second, I got my own thoughts. Let's pump the brakes."
Yeah,
and hopefully the new director is really more cannabis friendly.
Or cannabis knowledgeable.
Maybe knowledgeable.
Like, even it may not. They don't have to have a PhD in it because I mean that's kind of just relative. But it's at least someone who has
who's got a PhD in cannabis.
And you go out to that. What's that?
I do.
Go out and become a ganjier.
No, not a ganjier. What's the college they teach you how to grow?
Yeah, he's talking about you go to be a ganjier.
That's like sommelier thing.
No, you learn how to grow there too.
Yeah, but there's a school that you can go pay money
at.
In
California, and
you can go pay money and they teach you how to grow weed.
It's a joke. You'd be better off hanging out with
watching YouTube and
paying $150,000 to go to his course.
You just hook up with your uncle that grows in his backyard. You'll learn way more about growing that way than you
right.
That's true.
Now you may not learn about some of the business side of it, which I think that they teach out there. But
what kind of business on how to sell weed? I learned that in the streets.
No. Hey, ding, ding, ding. There's the thing is that a lot of folks that are in cannabis now, that's where they learned it from. Right? And so that's like where a lot of home growers that were really, really great home growers, they couldn't transition to commercial, bro, because there's a big difference between growing for you and your boys and then selling it on the street to all your boys, then converting over to a true commercial, customer-oriented, customer.
I mean, it's trying to regulate something that's been illegal for eons, and it's like, okay, now we're trying to figure out ways to soften it and make it more tasteful for people to get involved. Because I mean, you're trying to deal with Republicans.
We just need to normalize it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to do.
But I mean, yes, and that will happen.
At the end of the day, it just needs to be normalized. Like people just need to understand that, like, I smoke weed, leave me alone.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think the use of cannabis has been normalized. I think the stigma from bureaucracies will need to be normalized. I mean, keep in mind when the government started the Reefer Madness program.
That was a bar right there. Dude.
I heard it.
Did you catch that?
Oh, bars.
That was a bar. Go ahead.
That was good. You kicked out the knowledge.
That was a good fucking. That was knowledge.
Oh, got it. Yeah. So, like, thanks, bro. Like,
that was good. Like it was smart.
I feel like when my teenage daughters a few years ago teach me what TikTok was. I'm like, what?
What I'm saying is I learned something right there.
Got it.
Clicked.
He gonna walk around, works around. Hey, Tucson Max, knowledge.
Knowledge.
It's power. Knowledge is power, right?
It's a bar.
So no, again, because I think, like, listen, how many people do you know, like, this individuals you know, that stigmatize anybody for smoking weed anymore?
Oh,
right?
Shit.
With,
It's fewer and fewer. It's fewer and fewer.
Fewer and fewer, for
right.
sure.
But where all the stigma comes from is in the government officials that are in charge of overseeing us. And you see it less and less in states. So like Colorado, when they legalized, they literally created the Marijuana Enforcement Division. Its only job was to enforce marijuana. They didn't put it underneath the ATF. They didn't put it underneath the DHSS. They didn't put it underneath some of the bureaucracy that had their own preconceived notion about what cannabis be. They said, your only job is to understand, know, and work with cannabis. So those groups would then go out and they hire people that had cannabis experience, said, hey, teach us what you know.
Then we should have done that.
Well,
that's what we
should. The original
we already
drafters,
can now.
Yeah,
we go to
so
other states.
It's really hard to go back 4 years ago and say, hey, we should armchair quarterback the thing.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
But if you look at other states that are similar to us, where they put it underneath the bureaucracy that already existed, that bureaucracy had been trained by the government through the state DEA, the local DEA, the local law enforcement, district attorney's offices, all the judges. Marijuana is bad. Marijuana is bad. And the whole government's like, marijuana is bad. So when they put us underneath another agency that's had that drilled in their head, it's really hard for them to say, let's be pro-cannabis.
It's going to be button heads for a while.
Yeah, the whole
So, okay, you said federal, and I have a quick question. So in the Amendment 3, there's legislation that says that whatever the federal government legalizes, it still won't change what happens in Missouri. As far as
so I understand. Okay, so Missouri is siloed. We've got our rules, right? So we operate inside, and we did that to protect when it does go federal from states like California just flooding us with just really cheap, shitty product, right?
Which
is destroying Missouri licensees.
Yes.
Now we can export our Missouri products out. Those states, right? Now we can change that. There are ways to change that legalization.
If we want to, later.
But the federal legalization, or even more specifically, the federal decriminalization, which is the first step that they'll take, right? They're going to they'll change the scheduling of it. It will open up banking. It will open up
because it's a Schedule 1. It can't be tied to a federal bank.
I was going to bring up the banking because the ATM transactions
we don't have right now, right? So they just killed cashless ATMs across the state. Were just killed.
So
the cashless ATM thing was wild.
Go ahead.
So I saw recently that ATM cashless transactions have just been axed.
For now, I guess
for the time being, because I think it even happened this weekend.
Yeah, no,
it happened today.
It happens all the time.
So what the card companies deemed there was that, so like Discover, MasterCard, what they deemed was that these cashless ATMs were actually running the transactions on the credit card rails illegally. They didn't care that it was being done for cannabis. They cared the method in which they were running this cashless ATM.
But isn't that technically still an ATM though? Because I get changed back every time.
It is. Well, the way that we are accustomed to working, it is. But the way that the processor actually processed that, they were processing it along the credit card rails.
Even though
the reason that credit cards don't want to touch cannabis is because they're federally regulated. Same reason why banks don't want to touch us, or other different insurance companies won't touch you, because they're still afraid of the federal legalities behind it.
Right.
But again, their argument wasn't. They didn't actually say that it was because of cannabis. They said you're not allowed to run an ATM transaction on credit card rails
or debit cards
on debit card rails.
So
they weren't running it on debit card rails; they were running the transaction on credit card rails.
But
it would you change.
But okay, it would, every time I went to use, because there's certain cards I couldn't use. Like they wouldn't let me use a credit card to use for a dispensary transaction.
Right,
but I would use
it required a debit card to run it.
Exactly, but they were
your debit
running
card
that.
can also be run as credit, right? You've gone before, and you're like, okay, I've hit my whatever my cash withdrawal is. Now I got to run this as credit.
It's like a cash advance, but they're not hitting you with the percentage.
There you go. Well, they were, because they're charging like $5.90, but they were charging a lot of them charge the convenience.
It wasn't charging you, but it would give you the change back, like an ATM transaction.
Yeah.
So
it saves you like $3.
Your ATM card, which also can be run as a credit card, was actually being run as a credit card while they
so the
companies.
I get it.
Got it now.
So the companies are fucking themselves.
Was always bringing it would always reverse the ATM fee. I would get it all back all the time.
The ATM fee. Mm-hmm. Even when you put it in the cashless one?
Processors, in order to make it work, we're paying that fee, right?
Versus that's the difference between debit and credit.
Like, wait a minute, why are you charging me a fee?
That's why companies want you to use your debit card.
They were just paying on the back end and eating that as a cost of doing business, but they were running your credit card function on your ATM card through the credit card rails as an ATM transaction. And they're like, no.
So how long do you think that'll take for something else to happen?
Supposedly Dutchie already has a workaround. They're almost ready to release.
Yeah, well, we saw this in Colorado. We had all kinds of card processors. I got to work around here, I got to work around there. When this happened, I had like 4 people text me that have processing. I got to work around for it. So here's the issue with a workaround. A workaround isn't a solution. A workaround's a workaround, right? Workarounds only work for so long generally. Yeah. This is where the decriminalization comes in. Once they federally decriminalize it and there's no longer a fear, big banks, Bank of America, PNC, Chase Bank, they'll start working with cannabis companies. B, it will also be more widely recognized on the New York Stock Exchange. And C, credit card companies will say, okay, I feel comfortable now, I can do this. Other ancillary businesses like insurance companies and things like that will also start picking up accounts, but it's going to take the decriminalization.
So it's not so much we're worried about the legalization on the federal level. They just need to deschedule it, and they kind of leave it to the states to figure out how they want it.
Legalization on a federal level would actually upset a lot of people because what that means is all of a sudden your weed's going to come from Pfizer, Moderna, Budweiser.
And we don't want
the multi-billion-dollar conglomerates. Well, then remember, Coca-Cola was close to getting
Bud's Light.
You want some Frito-Lay weed? Right. Some hot Cheetos.
Some flaming hot Buds.
I mean, honestly, I'd eat some hot Cheetos. That was edible. If it was like real Cheeto brand and it was edible, I'd smack it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yo, Flamin' Funyuns kind of sounds slapping.
So that's really the big difference.
You guys should make some Flamin' Funyuns.
Nearly all of our problems get solved with decriminalization, whereas legalization, while it opens the door for us to expand like Missouri into other states, it means that we will all be taken over. Just like what happened in Canada, right? So Canada, there's a lot of weed, but it's all being run by like a handful of multi-billion-dollar companies.
That's how it is in California.
So it's like basically
only people making money have the most money.
I'm telling you, dude. California's got so many illegal dispensaries though. Like, and I got friends out there and like, no, there'll be a dispensary here. They'll come in and raid it. Literally 10 days later, it'll pop up just down the block, and they'll just run it for another few months before they get raided again. The next thing you know, they'll get raided.
That sounds like the life.
Damn.
So ideally, decriminalizing makes it to where we can now transport it state to state without worrying about getting pulled over for. Or how does that?
Yeah. So that's when it becomes a state right issue, right? So let's say, okay, they decriminalize it. However, states have individual laws in the books that say, okay, it's legal here. So Kansas right now, in Kansas, it's on the books that cannabis is illegal to possess. It's illegal to grow, whatever the case is. That's literally Kansas law. If the federal government legalizes it, but Kansas doesn't change it, you can still get in trouble by transporting cannabis through there.
So how do you ship product then to other states if you're able to? Or can you? Since it's federal, can you use airlines though? If it's federal, can you use the airline carrier?
When they legalize, do a full legalization
or decriminalization more so than full legalization.
Well, full legalization will certainly open up a lot more things. Decriminalization though doesn't really do, while it protects it, it treats it more like alcohol and things like. Technically, you're not supposed to drive from Kansas over to Missouri and buy alcohol and drive across the state line again. It's still on the books that's transporting alcohol across. That's still.
They just don't take the time to enforce
it. Cannabis, because of this stigma that all those bureaucrats have and all the enforcement agencies have, it'll be a little different. If they find out there's a cargo plane full of cannabis flying from Missouri to California, okay, maybe there might be some eyebrows raised there and some things. They're
going to see cherries and berries on the runway.
I'm not an attorney, so none of this is legal advice. Okay,
common sense though.
I did stay at Holiday Inn Express last night though. So
hey, I like Holiday Inn Express in Osage Beach, by the way. Go there regularly.
You got points?
I get points there. They got a nice little fucking pancake maker.
Ooh.
You press a button, dude, 2 pancakes pop out a minute later.
Have you seen the waffle one, though?
That's not in Osage Beach. They have that one in, like,
they used to actually have, like, legit waffle makers, like, when you go to these hotels, and you put it in, and then you'd pour, and then they realize some messy fucking people out there. Like, I can't just eat batter and a waffle iron.
Yeah.
So they took it away. But I have seen the pancake thing, though. I have seen the pancake.
Amazing.
I'm telling you.
It's like one of the coolest things ever. You press it, and you put it
but I like to put peanut butter on mine and then stack them up.
Damn. You just ruined didn't ruin it.
That's the waffle gangbang.
Listen, I got another one for you.
Not the gangbang.
So this struck me last winter. This is like a 1 year.
We got to end on this one.
Yeah. So I love chili dogs, right? Like that's like my thing.
Oh, here we go.
And I make chili all the time. And all of a sudden it struck me last year. why have I not been just grilling and cutting up hot dogs, and sticking them in my chili every time? And just having bunless chili dogs. Like, I go,
damn, dude.
Fuck? So now I will never make a pot of chili without cooking up some hot dogs, dice them up, throw them in the pot. And then,
See, now you can get exotic and put deer sausage in there.
I do, yeah. I put deer. Yeah, I love I've shot 4 deer this year. So.
Wait, hold on, time out. You didn't
You
even.
shot 4 deer? You got any deer jerky?
I will. Yeah, I'll start processing like February. I do all my processing. I'll make sure I'll get you guys hooked up.
You didn't participate in the chili cook-off.
Even
I'm
Frank?
disappointed.
I heard Max won.
If it had been after legalization, maybe it wouldn't have been a problem. Now you guys are gonna see a lot more of me, and you'll be like, "Man, we're sick of this fat motherfucker. Like, he gotta go."
He won. I heard he won
Yeah,
the chili cook-off.
and you really want me in your comp? You really want to deal with me?
Let's
in your
go.
competition,
I
bro?
need a challenge. I'm tired of winning. I need a
You
challenge.
win every time?
Challenge accepted.
When have I? Hey,
There's only
who
been
fried the
one.
turkey? Who fried
There's
the turkey?
literally only been one.
The taco lunch. No, the
There's
taco
only been
lunch.
one chili
Yeah.
cook-off.
So you said you won every
and
one.
look,
Oh, no,
the
no,
thing
no.
was, he made the only white chili in the whole fucking place because everybody else
There
got
was
promo
two.
chili.
There was two. However,
And it fucked up
when we-
everybody.
First off,
no, we
I
didn't-
saw the pots. I looked at the chili. Okay,
you already knew where the flavor was at. You knew where the flavor was at. You knew.
I did. I could smell it coming out of there.
But no,
You
so
didn't eat any of them? You just looked
No,
at
no,
it?
I did. No, I ate it, but
there was a lot of chili to eat.
I couldn't.
it's a lot of chili
I
to
was
eat.
You
so
gotta try
busy.
every one, even if it's
I
a
literally
bite.
showed up like the last 15 minutes of the lunch because again, this was before legalization. Like it was asses and elbows.
His
for
ass
me,
was in
so.
Jeff City. He was not here. It's all good though. He's
That's-
home
I
now.
was-
I'm
my boss
home
was
now.
never
You're just, like I
around.
said, you're gonna see a lot more of me over there, and you're gonna be like, God, we're sick and
All right, well,
tired
we're
of
gonna
this."
come through. I'm gonna come through soon.
Oh yeah, we can do
I'm
that.
gonna come through
Come
soon.
through.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
should have him back on in a few months.
You can see my.
We'll tap
you
in,
can
we'll
see
check
my
in.
beast of a
Let's have him
machine.
back on once we start.
Yeah, let's.
once it
I love
opens
you
back
guys.
up.
You know, because I'm trying to make it in the podcast Hall of Fame, right? So I don't know
Yeah,
how many. I don't know how many
honestly,
episodes I got to
this is
do
another
before I'm
good
living
one.
in the Hall of Fame.
Two
But
for two. This is gonna
This
be
is
2 for 2.
another good one. I feel like we learned a lot.
We did.
I learned a lot.
does that mean we're rapping? Because you had a question that you were going to ask me about it was the illicit. It was the illicit market.
Oh, you're right. We
Oh,
real
oh,
quick,
shit.
real quick.
Oh,
to
we
me, and
got
I was
the-
like,
First of all,
damn.
shout out to
Hold on.
Tio Melts and Lush Labs. Real quick.
Lush Labs.
I don't even know. That's not even a real quick thing. I don't think we can even
No,
do that.
let's do it. Let's do it. We're here.
I can make
We
it
already
quick.
brought
If
it
we're
up.
on time limit, I can make it quick.
Okay, so what is your take on companies that are in the legal market doing black market or doing crossover events with black market like growers or black market whatever like hash makers or whatever.
Legacy market brands. So like basically there's an event this Saturday. This is gonna come out after it, unfortunately, so it's no promo here. But they're gonna do like live pressing of dabs. And then they're gonna do like have a whole smoke sesh. But there's a black market brand also, but the main sponsor is a legal brand.
Stupid. Right? Like that's.
No.
And here's why.
The
No,
rules.
Wait, hold on.
It's absolutely against the rules.
But-
Even what they're doing without having the black market brand, it's illegal. You can't give away products. So like.
Well, no.
So wait,
but what if I don't know if their product's gonna be there.
So wait, what if you
It doesn't matter. You cannot hold a consumption event, right? So even if you're a licensee, it's one thing if like, okay, I'm gonna have a private party, I'm gonna have a bunch of folks over, all smoked up, right? Yeah. And I provide it. Okay, cool. It's one thing, but for a licensee to have an event where they're gonna be passing samples out, so that's against the rules now. I don't know if they're going to change it for adult use, but certainly sponsoring it with a black market group, I'm like, okay, the Missouri license was the hardest license in the entire country to get. The hardest one. 2,300 applications. The scoring process was the most challenging that has happened in the entire existence of the United States, right? Why would you jeopardize that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm glad we continue this conversation.
Yeah,
This is good.
Yeah. I just think I don't know. I would have fucking.
It's a risk.
It's a definite
it's
risk,
a
but it
risk.
also
Hey, listen.
attaches you to the street. Like I know I'm not going to drop any names because I don't want to. I know other brands that have done smoke sessions that really helped them in the industry. And help
But
people.
that's the reward you're looking for in the risk. But it's such a large risk, especially because adult use is 45 days away. If
That's
you want
fair.
to do it, you
Yeah.
want to do it, wait 45 days. And here's why it's illegal to do those sorts of things. Because technically, what we have to do, because we've tried to pass out samples before. Tell me what we have to do is I have to verify you have a medical card. I have to verify you have an allotment. If you have the allotment, I can add what I'm giving you to your allotment, and it's totally legal. Yeah. Totally legal. But nobody's doing that.
Yeah,
Nobody's
yeah.
checking the medical card. No one's checking IDs to even make sure they fucking live in Missouri or Kansas. They're just like, here comes.
There was one event that did, but it was one of those. It was like,
Listen, right. And I get invited all the time, like, hey, we want to have your brand at this consumption thing we're doing. Nope. Call me after adult use is done. You can get a consumption license. I'll follow the rules. I'll give you so much fucking weed, people be comatose for days. But until adult use, just wait 45 days. Like,
All right,
why
hey,
risk it
hold
with
on.
45 days?
Comatose.
Note to self: 45 days from now, we're gonna throw a party.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
go.
I already got. I think
Let's throw
How
Heartbreakers.
you
huge-
motherfuckers drooling on yourself?
Let's get Heartbreakers Ball involved.
hey,
telling you.
Josh, let's throw a huge kickoff party, a huge rec kickoff party.
Down for it. Listen,
Heartbreakers Ball.
there's already been multiple conversations with the Kansas City groups. We're gonna be doing things like that for the kickoff. We've already got
shit.
applications ready to submit for consumption licenses. But in response to Lush Labs or whoever else is doing
Oh,
this,
he dropped the name. Woo!
in response to anybody else is doing this, why take the risk? You're
Yeah.
45 days away from
No, you're
not
good.
mattering.
Hey, can we drop this on Saturday or Friday?
Do it on Sunday. All right, we got to get out of here. I hope you guys have a good fucking night. Peace.
Thank you again, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
We'll have them back soon.
Josh.